high school students who are asked how do you identify themselves, I would say, as I was a teacher for so many years, and I know that Palestinian youth in Israel are so afraid to use the word Palestinian. Their parents tell them, please don't use this. And if they know that the researcher is a Jewish guy or someone they don't know, they would say Arab or Israeli just to feel safe, okay? And one more thing, concerning identifying as Arab. Being Arab is also being, if I would meet with someone from Egypt, both would be Arab, but I would be Palestinian and she would be Egyptian. And the idea is not that I can't identify someone with the language they speak. You don't tell someone you are French just because they speak French. It's a whole identity of history, of culture, of food, of everything. So calling someone an Arab is really shallow, and I don't think that if these youngsters had a safe place to identify, they wouldn't use the word. But I know, I'm from that culture, and all the political situation in Israel in particular don't give people in general, not only youngsters, the chance of being themselves. They are afraid that they would be identified as terrorists just because they said they are Palestinian. And I want to change that. And I won't call my participants in the research Arabs just to make some people pleased that they don't see the word Palestinian. They are Palestinian.
But you see what, okay, all right. But you see that by doing so, I fully agree with you that you shouldn't impose on anyone any identity.
I'm not telling them you are Palestinian. I'm using the term for my participants. I'm not telling them you are Palestinian. Please take.
But if you will tell you, I'm an Arab Israeli, what will you do?
I won't ask that question because I don't ask you how do you identify. This is not a question I would ask anyone. Why would your religion or mother tongue language or the place you were born at be something you identify yourself with? This is a very shallow question, and I won't ask my participants to identify as Arabs or Israelis because I know, even if they tell me I am Palestinian, I know they would still have this percentage of being Israeli and of being Arab and of being Muslim or Christian. It doesn't matter. I think that their experience, their inner experience in Rawabi is way more important. How they are dealing with their dialect, their language, their selves are way more important than the word that they would.
National identity?
If I meet you for the first time, I wouldn't ask you, we both live here, I wouldn't ask you, how would you identify yourself? Do you identify as Jewish or Israeli or Mizrahi? Or I wouldn't do that. So why do we put that effort or put that thing on Palestinians or Arabs in general? Why?
Simply because
they are minorities?
No, not at all. Simply because it seems that this is part of your research question. Correct me if I'm wrong. If it's not your research question, of course you're totally right. I wouldn't,
because even if
something that I would raise. But if it is part of your research question, identity, then that's what I would assume that you will do.
Yeah, identity is part of my research and it's very important, but I don't think that the identification of a word, identity as a word, is important. It's very shallow and I won't use it. I think your identity is way more deeper than a word that you would choose to identify yourself.
So you want check, you want study.
Like asking,
I'm
telling you, I did that on my MA research. I was studying Palestinian graduates of the Israeli education system, and they were learning in Hebrew-speaking schools. So, for example, students from Taiba, they were studying in Kfar Saba, okay? And I was calling the research, it was called Arab Israelis, okay? So, each and every interview, I was asking them, the last question was, how do you identify yourself? And now I know that was too shallow. Why would I do that? I know that when I looked at their faces, after this long interview where they gave me the part of their life, all their adolescence, starting from 7th grade to 12th grade, which is a long time, a long period. And this question was not not part of what I wanted to know. It didn't add anything. And some of them told me, I am Palestinian, or I am Israeli, or I am both, or I don't know who am I, even if they were 30 or 40% age, like old. So,
Okay.
but we will discuss this.
We have a bunch of questions. So we'll collect a few, and I think you can answer all together. Odeh?
Yes. My question is for so I was wondering, you mentioned how Al-Wabi is the first planned Palestinian city. And I kept thinking about planned cities in the past in the context of sort of national projects, like the Israeli kibbutzim and other types of planned places. But the impression I got, at least from the video, was that it's more of just like, just a capitalist enterprise. Like, here's a place where you can work and study and live your life in almost like closed community. Like, it looked very middle upper class. So my question is there some sort of ideological or national component to existing in that city, or is it just this sort of, place we built because we have the money and we want to build a place for us more wealthy Palestinians to live in?
So your question is for like the Rawabi project as a general, not the migration of Palestinians from Israel to there, right?
Yeah.
To get you right. Yeah. So he also. Okay. Okay.
One by one.
Okay, so I don't know if I didn't play the whole video, but Al-Masri would say that we don't want to Rawabi to be the last thing to do. We want Rawabi 2, 3, 4. So the idea was to build a place, a new Palestine. And he said we want people to see the success. We want the regular life. You said the word normality. So the normal life of a person, the way it should be. So if you're asking what was their intention, I would say that it was for everyone. But yeah, if you look at the city right now and with the population that lives there, yes, we see that it's middle upper class of people who choose to be there or can be there in general.
It's a bunch of questions, and it's just out of curiosity. It's not a commentary. It's just wanting to know more. It's for you, Mike. First of all, I wanted to ask, why did the video say it's half an hour away from Jerusalem and not Ramallah, right? So, like, why do the people you're interviewing and they want to immigrate? What matters to them is the closeness to a Jewish city or a mixed city and not a Palestinian city, right? I mean, why would that be the kind of thing that matters? And the second thing is, I was also struck by the visual architecture and its similarity to settlements, right? It doesn't look like an aerial view from Ramallah would look different than an aerial view from Nablus, but even the triangle, like, it's a very particular aesthetic, and I'm wondering, I mean, how do you understand it? I mean, does it borrow from, it's not even like general Jewish architecture, it's very particularly settlement, it seemed to me, from what you showed, so I'm just wondering about that. And the third thing,
Which kind of settlement, by the way?
What
are you thinking?
Modin. It looks like Modin. No, but when they first built it, they said it was like Modin, like.
Right.
Yeah,
Modin is the city of the future.
Maybe when they planned it, yeah.
If anyone knows Har Choma is a settlement unlike Modin, they look quite the same.
Okay, so.
Just a third thing, and then I'm wondering also about the immigration, if they think about the fact that they're going to move to the territories. I think we discussed that, and I mean, I don't know if it affects their legal status, but what does it mean for them to be under the Palestinian Authority? Is that a consideration at all?
Okay, so I'll start with the first question. First of all, Jerusalem is the capital Palestinian, like the capital city of Palestine. So it's very normal that they would talk about Jerusalem and not Ramallah to speak about the Palestine in general.
Valley's culture, I mean, the cultural center is
Yeah, but Jerusalem, if you say Jerusalem, then it would be they are offering Rawabi not only for Palestinians in the West Bank, also to Palestinians in Israel. So Jerusalem would be more not only familiar, but it would be safer. Why would someone from the Triangle move to a place near Ramallah, not near Jerusalem? Jerusalem makes sense. This. No. I mean that Jerusalem is like it's a place they can go to and they can work there, but they can't work in Ramallah, for example, or because. Yeah, but as people in the Israeli labor market, we're speaking about people that will want to stay on the same labor market. And yes, and they said this, if we compare the Palestinian labor market with the Israeli one, then people would prefer to be there. And we're seeing thousands of Palestinians crossing checkpoints on a daily basis to work in Israel. So this is one. Concerning the planning of or the architecture of the city, I have written this, but I didn't mention in the presentation. They said that the how would I say? No, hajar, earthen, the stones that were used for the city are all from the same area, from Ramallah, like the area of Ramallah, and they have given names for the neighborhoods, and so they said that the architecture of the buildings themselves, if you look at each and every building, you will see some Palestinian architecture. That is what they said. But yes, when you look at Rawabi as a city, they all the time compare it to Modi'in, and that it's very similar to settlements around it. And people who are against the idea of Rawabi always say, it's just like other settlements on the same area, so what's different? So yeah.
Yes, I wanted to ask you about what does it mean to be the first
Yes.
Palestinian city. Who are the players of the city, the investors, and what makes it Palestinian? In the way she's planning,
The city.
Architecture.
yes.
And I forgot to answer your third question. Anyway, I would. So.
If there is an ethos that is like national ethos of the first, in Israel, it's like Aviv, the first Hebrew city. So, is there any kind of ethos that is combined in this creation of the new city?
So first of all, Rawabi, some people love it and others just hate it and think it's just some kind of a lie where we show the world that everything is perfect and we are living in a planned city with all the urban facilities available, where we're just putting all the other things or the illegal settlements and the occupation under the mat. So yes, some people would say that this is very important as a first Palestinian city, but others would look at it as some colonial way of erasing what's going on. Okay, so for some, yes, it's the first Palestinian city, and this is very interesting and important, and for others it's not, because if you're looking at the Palestinian ongoing life, then Rawabi doesn't really reflect what's going on. So for some, this is not something they would celebrate or be proud of. Yeah, and concerning the place as a Palestinian city, then yes, you can see that, as I said, with the buildings and that they have some Palestinian architecture involved in the place, and I think I don't remember the name exactly, but an Israeli architect was involved in the process. I'm not sure who was him, but one was involved, the same one that planned Mamella in Jerusalem. So, and concerning the issue with living in Area A under the Palestinian Authority, of course people would take that into consideration, and also that they would be there. Their children won't learn Hebrew, okay? They are learning Arabic and English. People are taking this into consideration, but when they put that in front of other dilemmas they have, they would say, okay, we can do this. I would pass the checkpoints or go over settlements to go to work, but I know that my children are getting a better education. Okay, and concerning other things with the Palestinian Authority, we talk about medical services. They would go back to Israel to get medical services. If someone is giving birth, or I remember some stories. I did some interviews with my pilot, and I remember some stories with one of my interviewee was having back in Kippur. So she called the ambulance and they told her, we can't do anything. You can come to the checkpoint and we will take you. And she said, I can't do that. We have settlers all around. I can't just pass in Kippur. So yeah, these are things they keep in mind, but with all the background I presented, they don't find this on top of their priorities.
I want to go back to Corel's comment regarding Canada thing, because it made me think for discussion, made me think about same like a state by Scott. That's by qualitative kind of survey. That's most of what's quantitative survey, like all of those. So there's a need to take like complex issues and flatten them in order to have something that you can work with, which is really in the mindset of like seeing like a state of doing statistics on a large scale and trying to take local knowledge and incorporate them into pragmatic kind of how do we do something with that, and how do we see the demographics as a whole. And I think that kind of what you said against it, you pushed back against it, said no, I want to keep the local knowledge in front and center and not to go back in the end to that question, because that would reframe everything that was said up until that point, beyond just the dignity of the person you're talking to, right? I understood your comment as something that put an emphasis on the methodology by itself, and saying, no, that's how we want to stay with the local knowledge of how people understand their lives without getting to the bottom line. Okay, now we raise all the things we said up until now. What's the final point of what's your real identity is? Like not getting to that point and of leaving people with the option of having some interdependency and ambiguity regarding what's their identity. Like being more complex, saying, no, I might be also Israeli and Palestinian and Arab and Muslim and
the person, and the human,
and someone from Haifa, and someone from
yeah.
Right, so being a person of all kind of places at the same time. And now I'm taking all that, but asking how you can still ask and gather the information about what kind of people are driven, not all Palestinians in Israel choose to go to Iraq. Right? There's some people choose it, some people don't. So what kind of, in those kind of broader flattened identities, what kind of people do go to Iraq? Because I'm not sure that those who, for instance, in the end, when I ask the question, will say, well, I'm an Israeli. I'm not sure those people will go to Iraq, or maybe they do it. That might be also one thing. So I do want to take you back and ask, in what way can you take those kind of questions and put them against the kind of answers that quantitative people have in order to understand what kind of people choose to do and what kind of people not?
And next question and take another one from Ellie and then.
אפשר התחלת במקום של חיפה במרחב, זה הרבה בעצם הסיפור של הנכבה וההרס, הסיפור של ניתוק מהמרחב. אז בעצם תהיתי למה לא לקחת את הפרויקט גם לכיוון של איכשהו לשחזר את הקשר למרחב. זאת אומרת, לאו דווקא לשחזר כאילו רק מבנים בתוך העיר, שלא לדבר על זה אגב, שהרבה מהעירוניות קשורה לחיבור למרחב, כאילו הכיכר הזאת, כיכר של תחבורה וקשר לנראות, וזה חלק מהסוף בעצם.
אז קודם כל, כשאני מדברת על שימור או על conservation, אז לאו דווקא לא הייתי צריכה להגדיר את זה, אני חושבת שאני לא כרגע כמובן, שזה לאו דווקא בהיבט של שימור כמו שאנחנו מקבלים את זה, אבל הייתי יכולה להגדיר את זה כשילוב של בין, יש את המושג של גופים היסטוריים עירוניים, שאז זה משלב את הממדים ההיסטוריים עם הממדים התכנוניים העירוניים. שלמעשה זו השאיפה של הפרויקט, זה מתייחס גם להערה של הסכנות שיש בפרויקט הזה, ובאמת המטרה היא לייצר איזושהי פרוגרמה של כלי עבודה שהוא שיתופי, שכן מתייחס להיבטים ההיסטוריים, במקרה הזה זה של חיפה. בנוגע למה שאתה אומר, אז אני חושבת שהמקרה, אני פשוט לא הצגתי את זה בדיעבד, כמו חשבתי את זה שאני צריכה להפוך אולי אפילו להתייחס רק למקרה של כיכר חמרה וכיכר פריז של היום, שהיה אפשר לעשות ניתוח גם המשמעות של כיכר חמרה מבחינת ציר, היא לא חיברה רק בין מה שאנחנו רואים האזורי המדינתי, אלא היא גם ממש חושבת על צירים משמעותיים בהתפתחות של חיפה, וממש נוצר שם נתק. אז במובן הזה אני חושבת שאתה מחדד לי אינטואיציות שאנחנו כרגע בין המנחות בדיון של מה המושגים שאיתם אני פועלת, conservation, historical urban landscape, שזה משהו של בין לבין, נוצר נתק בעיר, אם מתייחסים.
אז התחלת מהרכבת, זה הסמל של המודרנה העות'מאנית שהיא של המרחב, מסילת החיג'אז, זה פרויקט נוגע. אנחנו גם נוסעים עליו, אבל רק בחלק מהדרך.
אגב, לשם הדיוק זה ברנץ' של מסילת החיג'אז, זה לא מסילת החיג'אז, מסילת החיג'אז יורד לחיים, היא מגיעה לדעה.
Go back to Alon's comment earlier.
Yes, first of all, I would say, I didn't mention this earlier, that people who choose to move to Rawabi, I don't think they do it out of national reasons, okay? So if I did ask some of them when I interviewed them, would you give up your Israeli passport to stay in Rawabi? And I knew the answer before they did, so they wouldn't. Or it's not out of, they want.
I'm not sure that doing it for nationalism reason is necessarily contradicts keeping your Israeli passport, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, yeah, but I'm saying.
There's like all the Jews here. That with four passports.
Okay. I was saying that people are facing marvelous difficulties back in their hometowns, starting from the educational system, and then they see their children and they say, okay, I would move there just to get my child a better education. Or in terms of the extended family, if they are facing some problems with them, they would just move. Or if they want to buy a flat and they don't have the money to buy one in Israel, and they can't do it, but they can do it in Rawabi. The reasonable prices there is a major factor, I think. So I think that the idea of asking them how do you feel in Rawabi? Do you feel part of the community? Is there any time you felt that you were an outsider there? Can you understand things now that you didn't understand in the past? Questions like that, where they give me their adventures and experiences, I think they show more about their identity and how they feel than if I ask them, how do you identify yourself? So yeah, I think through the interview, and it's a long interview, I think I get the answer.
אני רוצה להוסיף משהו לגבי השאלה, לגבי של עודד שיצא בינתיים, לגבי אתוס או חזון או אידיאולוגיה שיש. גם ימין, אבל גם עודד שאל על זה. חזון וזה, ואת באמת ענית על העניין של מידל קלאס ודברים כאלה. צריך להבין, אצל הפלסטינים, בעידן אבו מאזן, פחות או יותר, בסדר? מדברים על משהו כמו 18 שנים, יש מגמות של ניאו-ליברליזם, מאוד מובהקות, לא מוסתרות. סוציולוגים פלסטינים מתעסקים עם זה, ג'מיל הילה למשל, באופן מאוד מאוד רציני. ג'מיל הילה למשל ניסה להסביר דרך זה, ולדעתי בצורה די משכנעת, גם את הדור הצעיר, גם אני עשיתי את זה במאמרים שלי על הדור הצעיר, אני מתייחס לניאו-ליברליזם, אבל גם למשל ג'מיל הילה שאל למה לא פורצת אינתיפאדה שלישית, שאלתי כבר ב-2013, ונתן את ההסבר הניאו-ליברלי כהסבר לזה. אנשים מתרכזים במטרות כלכליות, מאז אבו מאזן המחויבות לקולקטיב מאוד פחתה. אני חושב שאין כמו רוואבי, ומרים רמזה לזה, אין כמו רוואבי בשביל לשקף את הרוח הזה, את הרוח הזאת. זה לא, אני לא רוצה להיכנס לשאלות של לאומיות ודברים כאלה, אלא להישאר באמת על הנתיב הזה של אנשים רוצים לחיות נורמלי, אנשים רוצים לחיות טוב, אנשים רוצים לחיות, נקודה. ורוואבי באמת, אני חושב שרוואבי מספק את זה, וגם אהבתי מאוד, מרים גם באמת הסבירה את המורכבות של הסיפור הזה, שהחלק זה משהו שמעורר ניכור, ואני בהחלט יכול לראות איך זה קורה, גם על מכל מיני היבטים, אפילו מבחינת נטישת לנדסקייפ המסורתי, גם הקולקטיב, נכון, והמשפחה הקולקטיבית, יש המון היבטים. מה?
גם מודיעין מעורר ניכור.
כן, בטח, אני מנוכר סתם.
גם בזה
אבל יש כאלה שזה באמת משדר להם, אני ראיתי בזה נורמלית, ובגלל זה אהבתי את זה, היה בזה משהו, אנשים חיים, רוצים לחיות.
למרות שהגענו להצטמצם, הצלחנו לחרוג מהזמן. תודה רבה.